Hi, I'm Chuck with IWS Motor Coaches. Well, here I am once again. I'm going to try to explain why you should buy a Renegade Motorhome. And that really starts with why buy a Super C. Because once you've decided you like the drivability and all the wonderful things that a Super C offers, now you got to choose a manufacturer. There's a lot of manufacturers out there, but there's only a few custom coach builders. The two mainstream coach builders are Show Hauler and Renegade. We happen to represent both of those lines. And the reasons that those are the lines we represent is really my experience getting into the RV lifestyle, which led to being into the RV industry. And that was, my wife and I wanted to buy our first used motorhome. A lot of my friends are in the racing world as well as I was, and I couldn't help but notice that almost all of the racing events that we went to, it seemed to be Renegade and Show Hauler. But predominantly, it's Renegade Motorhomes. They're the company that all the premier, or not all the premier, but the majority of racing teams, if you go to an NHRA event or a NASCAR event and you just stroll through the pits, you're going to see Renegade after Renegade. And that really, for me, coming from the trucking industry, that really added a lot of value and peace of mind when the people that are out on the road every day that make their living and depend on these coaches for their lifestyle and to feed their families, and they're all choosing Renegade, there's definitely got to be something there more about it. So, when I tried to buy my motorhome locally, the dealership put us in a golf cart, and actually it's a funny story. I'm kind of telling this story today as if you were right here. I went to the RV dealership over in Boise, and the guy showing me the RV, he goes, "Hey, Slick, come here." I said, "My name's not Slick, it's Chuck." And he said, "Chuck, Slick, what's the difference?" And I said, "Well, I'm going to show you the difference." And I walked out the front door and came back here and called a whole bunch of different RV distributors. And really, when I started talking with Renegade, they really just started adding a lot of peace of mind. So I flew back to Indiana and met with Renegade, and the thing that impressed me the most is when I got there, they're in their lobby, they had a little sign up that said, "Welcome, Chuck Ciccarelli," and that really made me feel welcome and at home. And the next thing that did is, those of you that know me know I grew up in Bruno, Idaho in a ranching community, and manners are very important. And we sat down to eat, and I sat down with the president of Renegade and my salesman, and during lunch, I noticed neither one of them took a phone call. And that really, it meant a lot to me. It felt like they were actually engaged in what I had to say. They were taking notes, and everything I asked for, they just said, yep, we can do that for you. So then when that meeting was done, I went on down the road and I went to the other RV, one of their competitors, and you go into a little 10 by 10 room, and the receptionist, I'm not even kidding you, the receptionist was sitting behind a little teller window, and she slid the window open and said, "May I talk to you, or can I help you?" And I'm crouched down looking. I'm like, man, this just doesn't feel like a place I want to spend all my hard-earned cash with us. So flew home and ended up buying a Renegade, and then enjoyed the experience so much. One of my friends asked if I could get him a motorhome. We bought another one from Renegade, and next thing you know, here we are. But the one thing that stayed consistent with Renegade is I really like the name, Renegades. And I think it's a lot like buying a Harley. You're kind of, you get very attached to the brand. I love the Renegade story that, they went to an RV show years ago that was an exclusive members only, and they couldn't get in. And so they stayed out in the parking lot and called themselves Renegades. And it's interesting to me, Idaho has a big RV show, but it's not open for me. We can't go in because we're not a member of the elite group. So it resonates very well with me to be considered a renegade and to be called a renegade. it seems like people that operate Renegades, we kind of know things that other people's don't. We understand the importance of being accessible 24 hours a day. You know, if you're a racing team and it's a Saturday or a Sunday and you can't get your generator to start, you need to get a service tech on the other end of the line. You want somebody to answer the phone call. So we understand that, and I expect the same. And when we were going through the process of looking at Renegade, one of the first things I did was test them, and we called there on a Sunday, and they have a 24-hour, 7-day-a-week service line. And I called it and I checked it, and it works. And things like that just starting adding up. Another thing is a word that's really overused, I think, in the RV industry, and that's craftsmanship. You know, anybody can write craftsmanship on a piece of paper. You know, I have a thing with some of these words like team players and all of these. You know, for some of us, it really means a lot. I'm a craftsman. I believe I'm a craftsman when on my tombstone, I hope they put that, you know, Chuck was a craftsman. I have a lot of pride in metalworking and things that I do. When I went to Renegade, a big majority of their workforce was Amish, and I didn't quite understand it all, you know, the Amish craftsmanship, but when I was down there and Danny was giving me the tour, it became clear that there was 2 and 3 and 4 generations of craftsmen within that area that were fathers and mothers that passed down their sense of craftsmanship to their sons and daughters, and they just keep building on that. And when you look at the cabinets in a Renegade, you'll see the dovetail construction, it's solid wood. It just seems that there's no corners cut. When, you know, I've said it before in other videos that you want to be able to purchase one of these motorhomes and have no regrets. And, you know, my friends, they talk about their motorhome where the cabinet door comes off, or every trip they go out, something. We actually had a customer in here the other day that owns a Class C that he bought from it's more of a cookie cutter motorhome. And he actually said when he has a trailer on, he can't get the slides to go out because the chassis bends so much. These are just things that over all these years, almost 20 years, Renegade's providing to the racing industry, they've learned what works and what doesn't work. When you're, you know, my son played collegiate football, and when you're at tailgating at a football game and you got people going in and out of the motorhome all day, or you have a race team and you got guys and girls just rotating in and out of the motorhome, resting and eating, things break. I mean, this is the true test of what a motorhome should be. And my whole lifestyle was growing up within building tow trucks and just a strong understanding of the importance of keeping things on the road every day and how to do that 7 days a week. And, you know, I feel like I'm babbling on, and, you know, ultimately it's up to you who you choose to buy from. In my mind, there's really only 2 choices within the RV industry if you want a quality Class C, and that's either Renegade or show hauler. You know, when the cameras go off, we look at these other companies that are selling Super Cs, and it's the fastest growing market. So, you know, it's only logical that other players would want to get in there. You know, at the time I'm filming this, it happens to be during the COVID-19 deal, and business has slowed down for a lot of us. And I remember back when I come on board with Renegade, I was in business during the last recession in 2008. And when we became a Renegade dealer, it was important to me to look back and understand that during that recession, Renegade stayed in business and others went out. So I want to be associated with a brand that I believe has the ability and the wherewithal to stay through the highs and lows. I don't want to buy this cookie cutter motorhome, you know, who's in just to make a buck, and then a downturn in the economy hits and they're out of business and I can't get parts for it anymore. That's something that's very important to me. We're looking at these other players coming onto the market, and we're looking at how they're speccing the Class C chassis, and with such a truck background that me and the rest of my crew have, we just look at these specs and we're just shaking our heads saying, man, I hope nobody buys one of these things because you're going to be disappointed. It's just things that we've learned in over 25 years of being in the truck side of things, what works and what doesn't work. You know, you can buy two exact chassis and one of them has a thinner frame than the other one. You can have a lighter suspension, you can have smaller brakes, and exterior from the outside, they look like the exact same unit. And that's the same thing with these Super Cs. You know, when you're looking at them from the outside, some of them just look really good and really swanky, but when you get into the doors, you know, you start dissecting the hinges, you start looking at how the thing's built on the chassis, and all of these things add up. It's a clear, obvious choice that to us, Renegade it's the only clear choice out there for a Class C. Or if you want to go full on custom, we can go with a show hauler. Renegade and show hauler are right on par with one another. You know, when it really comes down to spending your hard-earned money, I hope you really weigh a lot of things very carefully. You know, one of the things that I tell customers to do is, if you're thinking about a manufacturer other than show hauler or Renegade, is just say, hey, how many people can I get up on the roof? You know, with the Renegade, it really boils down to how many people you can safely stand up on the roof, because it's going to hold you. That really speaks volumes to their construction. The other thing that I want to talk to you about is you know, the name Renegade. I've talked about it a lot, but when it comes time to trade these things in, because that happens, or maybe your life changes and you need to resell it, I don't believe there's a motorhome out there that holds its resale more than a Renegade. While you're watching this video, just Google and look up cookie cutter motorhomes, any Class C motorhome, and you'll see pages after pages on the internet. And then when you go to the Renegades, it's a very exclusive group. Very rarely will you ever see a used Renegade for sale on our website, because they don't even make it in. We have a waiting list of people looking. They just hold their value for 10, 20, 30 years. You know, these chassis that Renegade is building these motorhomes on, they're million-mile chassis. Literally, the motorhome is designed to go over 1 million miles. And that's just unheard of. So you should have a lot of comfort knowing that you can buy a motorhome and own it for 10 years and still be able to sell it. I mean, right now in our company, we don't even want Class A motorhomes that are over 10 years old. We just won't even take them in on trade because there's just no value there. We welcome 10-year-old Renegade and show haulers. The other brands, we just don't really have a lot of use for them because many of them companies are out of business now. Well, I realize that I've kind of gone on, and you know, some of you that have stayed with it through this video, I want you to know, I'm up here talking like this for you because I really want to make sure you're informed, and this is a lot of money. I mean, if you buy a Renegade or a show hauler, you could be looking from $250,000 to $600,000. That's a sizable investment. And you want to make sure you're buying something that's going to last the test of time. And that's the other thing I wanted to tell you about our company is we made it through the recession, and we're still standing, and we're not going anywhere. We've been in the same location now for, I think it's going on 25 years. So we're going to be here with you. My son's taken over. He's stepping up. You know, you're going to get the same quality 10 years from now as you do today. Well, sorry for going on so long. I think I could keep talking. I feel like I'm on a rant up here, but these things just mean so much to me, and it's so important to me and my family that we really convey the message to you that if you buy a Renegade or a show hauler from us, you're buying something that you can count on. Thanks for your time.